Wisconsin is a good team. Those 5-12 matchups always get a little hairy. High Point has won 30 games. That bears watching.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, strictly for entertainment purposes only, we're going to do a men's NCAA Tournament preview. We're going to talk about the best team, in our opinion, because we're just guys in the podcast. We're going to talk about the worst teams. We're going to talk about the most surprising teams as you get your brackets ready. And in segment 2, I will give my final four. And if we have some other guests drop in, they'll give theirs. And in segment 3, still got to keep you involved with the NBA Week in Review, reflections on Bam. Can't wait to hear our panelists talk about Bam. And the WNBA, I guess they must have listened to the show because they passed the due date and the deadline date, and now we're at the drop dead date. So with me today is our favorite administrator, Robert Abney. Robert, are we ready to talk about the NCAA tournament?
You know, we finally have a bracket. We finally don't have to talk about Auburn anymore, for which I am thankful.
Yes. All right, we're going to start out in the West first. So, Robert, in my opinion, the best teams out in the West are Arizona. I like them. I like BYU because they have the best player on the court, and I'm a fan of the best player, Bernard King. All of these guys over the years, Danny and the Miracles, Reggie Williams and the Miracles, they have a way of doing some things. I like Gonzaga because they ain't going nowhere. And I think Purdue might hang around, as my man Tom Dickman would say. In the West, who has your eye as some of the best options for our viewers to pay attention to strictly for entertainment purposes, though?
No, I agree with you. I think Arizona, I mean, 1 seed, but that's well-deserved. And, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they win that bracket. BYU, I think, is poised to make a deep run. They're a 6 seed, and they would wind up playing Gonzaga in the second round. And I think that any matchup they're in is going to be favorable for them because they have the best player in maybe the best player in the entire tournament, but definitely the best player in the West. And so, you know, they could see Gonzaga Sweet 16. They could see Purdue. They could see Gonzaga in the second round, Purdue in the Sweet 16. I think either of those matchups are favorable for them. I think one team that could be interesting to me to watch. I mean, Wisconsin is a good team. Those 5-12 matchups always get a little hairy. High Point has won 30 games. That bears watching.
Yeah, it's just something about that matchup that just causes me pause. I mean, I should like them more, but I don't. And I wish I liked them more. But in terms of the worst teams, I don't like Villanova. And I don't like Villanova because I actually saw them live, the Odd Coaches Podcast, Global Access Initiative. I saw them play Georgetown. And they have a really good serviceable post, but they don't do a good job of getting it to them. And tournaments about matchups. Wisconsin gives me pause because we get to see a lot of Big Ten ball, and they just don't do it for me. And I tell you who I don't like. I don't like Arkansas for some reason. Joining us now is Danny Thompson. Danny, I'm going to double up on you. Tell me who you like in the West, and then tell me who you don't like, and we'll go from there.
Well, let's also look at the bracket for a minute because I'm still kind of shocked by how some of these, everything is looking. So just by looking at the West bracket, I'm pulling it up right now. If everything wants to act right, like I needed to.
Because in terms of Arkansas, they're going to play Hawaii. And Robert, I don't know if you stayed up late to watch Hawaii, but they don't help defensively. And as a coach who had to do scouts on teams that did some different stuff, I am curious. Now, again, doesn't mean Arkansas is going to lose to them. But when you got a scout like that, and you got a coach like Calipari who has lost early in the tournament, I'm really curious about Hawaii in terms of how that's going to work out, because that's a scout that nobody real. I mean, every team helps. So when you go against a team that doesn't help, I mean, they don't. They want you to penetrate and take a two, a hard two, and they're going to shade off on the shooters. So again, if you're not hitting that night and they're already in rebounding position, they've won some games this year. So I'm kind of paused by it. Danny, were you able to take a look at the West and see who you like and who you don't like?
I did. And just off the top, I don't like Villanova playing Utah State. They do not match up well with Utah State. I don't like that matchup at all. As far as the West, who I actually do like, I like where they put Purdue. Purdue is coming off hot. They just come off winning the conference tournament literally this afternoon. And the route they got to go through, the only one that's really that I think is going to give them a matchup problem is going to be Gonzaga. But even still, I think Purdue is good enough, especially at the guard position with their lead guard. I think they're going to be good enough that they're going to get past Gonzaga. But as of right now, I still think it's a bracket for Arizona to win. I don't see no one out topping them right now. But if I had to like who has a more favorable side to get through, I think Purdue has a more favorable side to get through than Arizona does. But Arizona's talented enough where they can get through that part of the bracket though.
All right. So Rob,
going back to your thing about, doing your scout, Villanova has not seen Utah State all year. Guarantee it.
No.
And, not only, Gonzaga should still win this game, but I guarantee you Gonzaga has not seen Kennesaw State all year.
No, and they're good. So in terms of sleeper teams, I didn't have Kennesaw State because I still think they should lose that. But if fans take a peek at Utah State, if you're doing things strictly for entertainment purposes only, you can't be on the Odd Coaches podcast and not say go High Point, because George Ockett, our academic and athletic consultant, went there, and he's going to flood the group chat with High Point references. I like Hawaii strictly because of how they play defense. And it's very similar to when Boeheim coached Syracuse. If you've never seen that zone, and the first time you saw that zone was in the NCAA tournament, good luck to you. Izzo's kind of like that too. And I'll tell you a sleeper that I like, and Robert, I like your reaction first, and then I'll give it to Danny. I like Miami. The Lucas kid has done a very good job this year, and they might surprise some people. Any sleepers you have from the West, Robert?
I think it would not shock me to see BYU make the regional final. I don't think they could win it. I think Arizona in the end comes out of the West, but it would not shock me to see BYU get to the regional final.
All right. Danny, anybody, any sleepers for you, sir?
I mean, you already said it. Miami's the sleeper for me coming out of the West, because I think they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough enough to give Purdue a game. And then again, I'm with Robert. I think BYU, they might get to the regional final. It all depends on how well they get through that first game, because I haven't seen who the 11 matchup is going to be, whoever that that first 4 game is going to be. But at the same time, I'm more scared of Kennesaw State because, again, I'm like Gonzaga. I have not caught a Kennesaw State game this year. I have not. I'm going to sit here and say that I have. I think I would be really, really nervous of playing that team right now because if the one game that I saw them play, which was their conference tournament game, I'm more nervous going into that game because I don't think Gonzaga needs to go in that game sleeping. And I think that's what they're going to do.
All right. So let's go to the South region now. In my opinion, the best team, Florida, Vandy, St. Mary's, strictly for entertainment purposes only, and Houston. Robert, who do you think the best teams are in the South region?
I think this region is pretty favorable to Florida. I love Houston. I've loved them all year. I loved them last year. But the fact that they don't get a whole lot, from their post guys, I think puts them in difficulty. They historically have had long stretches where they just cannot score, and you get deep in the tournament, that's problematic.
Yeah, you need some buckets.
Yeah, and St. Mary's, I mean, I think they're able to that actually is a really dangerous matchup for Houston in the second round just because I mean, Randy Bennett's a good coach. He runs some pretty intricate stuff offensively, and Houston has not paid a whole lot of attention to St. Mary's this year. I mean, I think, I think Nebraska winds up getting to the Sweet 16. They've never won a tournament game. I think that'll happen this year. But Florida's the best team in that bracket, I think.
All right, Danny, who you like in the South bracket?
Well, for the most part, this is where me and Robert will defer because I think, and I was on them back in January, I think Vanderbilt has a shot of getting to the Sweet 16. I mean, we're all in agreement. That is a favorable bracket for Florida because when you look down the line, you mentioned it with Houston, no real post presence inside. They are pretty much perimeter oriented. They've been like that all season, and it's rare for me to say that about a Houston team over the past couple of years because that's one thing they've been able to do is to be able to go inside, but they can't do that this year. I would have said Carolina. No Caleb Wilson, though, really is going to hurt them. With Vanderbilt, the only thing that's going to hurt Vanderbilt is if they get past Nebraska and they wind up meeting Florida if, for some odd reason that Florida slips up and they don't get there, which is not going to happen. Vanderbilt does not have the size to match up with a Florida. Because we all know Florida has a front line that is probably the best front line in the country. And that's the one thing Vanderbilt doesn't have is size to match that because McLaughlin and Washington, they're solid bigs, but they're not going to be enough to go up against Hull and the other guys on that front line for Florida. So that is Florida's bracket to take it. But I would not be surprised to say like a Vanderbilt, don't sleep on Nebraska. And even for the most part, when you look at it more down the line, VCU can top North Carolina. I can say that now. Because VCU is going to be a very tough matchup for Carolina because Carolina doesn't have, I mean, outside of the one kid, but no Caleb Wilson inside, that's going to be a problem. And VCU has the athletes and the size to match up to Carolina.
Well, and it's pretty clear that none of us like Illinois.
Which takes us to the worst teams. For me, stay away from Iowa, stay away from Nebraska, stay away from Carolina. All right, Milford, simply the best. Stay away from Illinois and stay away from Texas A&M. Robert, who should our fans stay away from strictly for entertainment purposes?
I agree with all of those pretty much. And I mean, 5-12 matchups are always interesting. And McNeese is good. Are they beat Vanderbilt good? I don't know. The fact that there is some proximity there, that makes that scout a little bit easier. So, I wouldn't. I agree with where you are on what folks need to stay away from.
Yeah, Danny, who would you stay away from in that region?
I mean, I'm staying away from Illinois and Carolina for those reasons that we already outlined. There's no need to dig into Carolina. We already know where I stand with them. But Illinois, if the freshman Keaton Wagler is not on, that's it. They're not going through it. After what I just saw with Penn this afternoon, I don't. That is a bad matchup for Illinois. I'm avoiding picking them to go far at all in this tournament. And then if I had to pick a third one, I'm shaky with Iowa. The thing with Iowa, though, they got the 1 point guard who I really like. But outside of that, those three are the three teams I'm fully saying for sure for entertainment purposes only to stay away from them at all costs.
All right. And my sleeper teams that I think you should pay extra attention to. I like VCU. I like Clemson. I have seen Clemson this year. I think they're going to cause some people some trouble. And Penn for coaching. Fran McCaffrey coached in the Big Ten for 1,006 years. In terms of doing a scout, I think he's going to take the scout. So if he's got the scout and those kids are going to execute the game plan, they may cause some problems. Robert, any sleepers from the South region for you?
Well, I mean, Fran McCaffrey is definitely familiar with Illinois. So I mean, that is definitely something to watch for. I think St. Mary's, again, Randy Bennett's a really good coach. St. Mary's and, Texas A&M. Texas A&M will not have paid any attention to St. Mary's over this year. St. Mary's is good, and wouldn't shock me if they get Texas A&M there.
Danny, what about you? Any sleepers from the South region?
Troy.
Okay.
Troy. They got a guy named Thomas Dow who I saw play back in January. They had a game that was on, I think, ESPN Plus at one point. He really impressed me. He is a double machine. And if Nebraska can't get him controlled, good luck stopping them. Because Troy is one of those teams that you're going to look at and be like, yeah, I need to watch out for them. And Troy has the talent to do it.
All right, we're going to go to the Midwest region. And again, segment one, we're just giving you some thoughts as you're filling out your bracket. We are at the Midwest region. Best teams, I ain't got but two, folks. Michigan and Virginia. That's it in the Midwest region. Robert, who do you have as the best teams in the Midwest region?
I mean, Iowa State might be in that conversation, but I'm pretty much with you.
Yeah, the eyeballs on Iowa State at the end of the year. That was a lot of shine that they kind of hiccuped on. Danny, who are the best teams in your opinion in the Midwest region?
I mean, outside of the two you already mentioned, I'm throwing St. Louis's name into the ring because if St. Louis gets hot, I don't think Michigan is going to give Michigan a run for their money, but they still got to get past, Georgia, which I think they'll get past Georgia. But outside of Iowa State and St. Louis, yeah, it's literally Michigan and Virginia. That's it.
All right, so I'm not a hater. This is not a bum conversation. I just am a guy that watches a lot of basketball. Worst teams. Here's the list: Georgia, Texas Tech, Alabama. I don't like them. Tennessee is going to cost people a lot of money. Miami of Ohio, congratulations for making the tournament. Now get out. SMU, same thing. Kentucky, man, do you even like each other? Okay? Talent's got nothing to do with it. I watch your team play. Can I get a high five? Can I get a little dap on the free throw line? And Iowa State, you had a nice start, and then the rest of the season happened. Robert, am I being too hard on these people?
That's a lot of folks you don't like.
I don't like
I'll tell you what, and Danny likes them. I do not. St. Louis. I do not. I'm not buying that. I feel like, they played well early on. I think people sort of figured them out. Um, I just don't. They might get by Georgia, but I wouldn't have them going any further than that. I love, Texas Tech. I love JT Toppin. Without them, that's a different team. Um, you know, Tennessee, SMU, Miami of Ohio. I mean, that just put Virginia in the Sweet 16. Um, Santa Clara over Kentucky. I could see that happening. Santa Clara is good. That's a good team.
All right, Danny, and my horse, is there anybody you don't like? Because I don't like a lot of teams in this Midwest region.
I mean, you can go ahead and put my name in the ring with you because the list of teams you had, I'm in the same boat because don't get me wrong, I was high on Miami of Ohio, and then I saw what they are in the bracket, and I said, well, the nice run while you had it. So enjoy it. If I had to pick one team that I probably feel like is probably the team that I'm just like, you know what, I'm not high on them at all. I'm with Robert. Texas Tech. Them without JC Toppin is a completely different team. And we saw that as soon as he went down with his injury. They are not the same team without him. So if Texas Tech, Tennessee, if you're putting your money on Tennessee, congratulations. You just lost a lot of money because they are way, way too inconsistent.
Rick Barnes will let you down. I'm going to tell you that right now.
It is a guarantee.
It should be noted with Miami of Ohio, at least, Dayton is like an hour and a half from their campus. So that they will have a presence in Dayton.
And that's why it's called the first half. Because by the second half, keep it moving. So my sleeper teams, guys. I like St. Louis to mess up a bracket or two. Akron can mess up your bracket, and so can Santa Clara. They could mess you up. Robert, what do you think about my three sleepers?
I'll pass on St. Louis, but Akron and Santa Clara, I'm with you.
Okay. Danny, what about you, sir?
I mean, I've already said my piece on St. Louis, but again, Santa Clara is my sleeper team because they're way too talented to be where they are in the bracket. I thought they were going to take that 9 seed from St. Louis, but the committee saw it differently. So I think Santa Clara is the sleeper team in that bracket as well.
All right. So now we're going to finish up with the East and have that conversation. Best teams, even with the injuries. Duke. I'm going to put St. John's because they won the Big East. They're a very good team. Yes. And Robert, I'm sorry, it's the same rule as BYU. When you have the best player on the court, you got a shot at it. So I got Duke, St. John's, and Kansas as the best teams in the East. What do you think, Robert?
You're looking at Kansas and St. John's playing in the second round, right?
Yeah.
And I think Kansas is Kansas.
That guy's good, man.
He
feels like playing.
He is very good. He might decide he doesn't want to play. And you just can't count on that, right? I think the best 3 teams in this bracket are Duke, St. John's, and UConn.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Danny, what are you thinking about the best teams in the East region?
For me, I got it differently. I think it's Duke, Michigan State. I'm throwing St. John's in there because they won the Big East, and then I'll probably go with UConn. I'm not sold on Kansas. I'm just not. I mean, yes, Darren Peterson is otherworldly as far as individual talent in this tournament. I'm not sold on Kansas. They're too inconsistent for me. They were so inconsistent as the season waned on. I cannot put my money on them winning the tournament. Can they go far? Sure. But if I have to pick my 4 teams, it's Duke, it's St. John's, it's Michigan State, and it's UConn.
Yeah. All right. So in terms of worst teams, and again, this is a no bum conversation. I don't like Ohio State because they beat nobody. I don't like TCU. I like Louisville. I love Izzo. I just don't like his team. I don't like UCLA. I don't like their team or Mick Cronin. And Danny Hurley gets on my nerves, but his team is very good. But he really gets on my nerves, but his team is very good. So, man, his team is really, really good, but he really breaks me the wrong way. But again, his team is very good. Robert, am I being too hard? Who do you have as the worst team?
No, same. I can't stand Danny Hurley. I not to wish harm on anybody, but I mean, dude needs to go away. That said, his guys play for him.
They play for him.
They play for him. They play for him. And I don't see them having any issue making the regional final. I don't like Michigan State as a team. I think the stuff with fears, I think that all of that is a distraction, and it causes trust issues in the team because you don't know when he's going to do weird stuff. And I mean, and they're a good team. The other thing is the way they play, I think, wears on them over the course of a year. I think the fact
got a little Thibodeau with him.
The fact that they are proud of being physical and playing with physicality, I think that works against them. Kansas, I again, Darren Peterson is, I mean, he may be the best player in the tournament. He's certainly in the top 5. You can't guarantee that he's going to play. And
he gets on a run, though. He could be a Danny Manning.
But the rest of those guys are just too inconsistent. And I mean, I like Duke. I think Duke at the very least will make the regional final. But can Cam Boozer when you gotta have a bucket, when you've got to have a bucket, does he want the ball? I don't know.
All right, Danny, what about you, man? What do you think? The worst teams in the East region?
It's a flip the coin between Louisville and UCLA. I don't like UCLA. Louisville, outside of Markel Brown, that's it. They're in the same description as Kansas. Markel Brown can go get a bucket when he is on. When he's not, Louisville will struggle. And it showed during the season. Because even when he was out with his injury, beginning, I think it was between December and January, Louisville was just going down the drain. And it was weird because they were one of the better teams in the country up to about the time he got injured. Mm-hmm. So if I had to pick 2 worst teams, it's again, like I said, no bum conversations, just debate on the rankings in this bracket. It's Louisville and it's UCLA. And then UCLA, there's a laundry list that I don't feel like going down. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole describing UCLA. It's just god awful at this point as far as the teams in this region.
And in terms of my sleepers, I like South Florida and I like UCF. I do. Those are teams that play a fun style of ball. Robert, any sleepers you have in the East region?
I mean, those would be the 2, but to me, this region is most likely to be a chalk region. I mean, Ohio State, TCU, I mean, you can flip a coin with those 2 guys. I mean, and that's what an 8-9 game is by definition, right? So I don't have anybody that jumps out at me really.
All right. What about you, Danny, as we wrap up segment 1?
My sweepers is, outside of South Florida, don't be surprised if California Baptist knocks Kansas off. And I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. So, fans, hopefully we helped you with your brackets, talked about some teams you probably never heard of. And in segment 2, Danny and I will give our final fours. We'll be right back on the Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAFE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAFE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. Danny and I will give our final 4 picks. So this is where my administrator yells at me and makes fun of me. In the South, I have Florida. In the West, I have Arizona. In the Midwest, I have Michigan. And much to my chagrin, because the Duke injuries are real, they're really impact players, I got UConn coming out. Robert, what do you think, sir?
As an NCAA official, I don't bet. I'm not allowed to bet.
No.
I don't do anything for entertainment purposes. I am watching. My feeling this year is that Michigan is the best team, but we will see what happens.
All right, Danny, who are your 4?
All right. So coming out of, if I start with one, coming to the South is going to be Florida. Coming out of the Midwest, much to my surprise, Virginia. Coming out of the East, if Caleb Foster and DJ Mbango were healthy, I would go with Duke. But I don't trust Duke once it gets later on in the tournament when you start running to the stiffer competition. And I think that's where UConn will shine. And I think UConn comes out of that region. And then I'm with you, Coach. I think Arizona's coming out of the West. And I think Arizona, to me, is probably the most complete team in the country right now. And I think Arizona's going to come out of that region.
All right, so fans, if you want to hang out with the OCP and our friends, the NCAA Tournament is here, and the CKA SAVE Project and the Odd Coaches Podcast are teaming up to celebrate the best time of the year. So if you're in the DMV, that's the DC area, Maryland and Virginia, we're going to have a watch party for the men's and women's tournament on Saturday, March 28th. At the Green Turtle in Burtonsville, the Paint Branch Turtle, from 5 to 9. We're asking everyone to provide a $50 donation. We'll have light refreshments, but beverages are on your own. And we're raising funds for our CKA virtual internship program, and some of our VIPs will be there. We'll raise the money for the Odd Coaches Podcast and our organizational research, as well as the Find the Balance grant. So check out our socials at Odd Coaches and at CKA, and hopefully Danny can make it. And we're going to have a good time with that. Also, we will have brackets for a free, strictly for entertainment, fun purposes only bracket for everyone to just kind of hang out and follow our picks. So again, we're looking forward to having a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of fun. So in segment 3, can't leave the NBA and not talk about Bam. And we also think the WNBA may have listened to the show because we talked about due dates and deadline dates and drop dead dates. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here, and for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond, and that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast and segment 3. Because our focus over the next few weeks is going to be on the NCAA Tournament, we're condensing our NBA thoughts and ideas to one segment. So, one, in the East, we've still got the Pistons. Boston, not my favorite city. I just love Boston. Good luck to you, though. Knicks, Cavs, Magic, and Heat. Play-in, Raptors, Sixers, Hawks, and Hornets. Hornets are still playing well, but it's a long trip out of the play-in. And lottery, Bulls, Bucks, Nets, Wizards. How'd you get on Saturday Night Live? That's just not good. And the Pacers. Hottest teams are still the Heat, the Hawks, the Hornets, and the Magic. In the West, OKC, the Spurs, Lakers, Rockets, Denver, and the T-Wolves. Play-in games, Suns, Warriors, Blazers, and the Clippers. And lottery bound, Memphis, Dallas, Utah, Kings, and New Orleans. Hottest teams, Spurs and OKC. But we got to talk about Bam. Danny, Bam hit 83. Share your thoughts on Bam hitting 83, sir.
I've said this to a lot of people this week since the game happened. 80 points is 80 points. The problem is who he did it against and how he did it. Okay? He did it against the Wizards. The Wizards are a dumpster fire. Okay? The only thing I don't like about the Bam talk, and this is nothing against him, is this talk that it broke the most points in an NBA game record as if March 2nd, 1962 does not exist. I've had discussions. I've had not necessarily arguments, mainly discussions that Wilt scoring 100 is not the record. It's Bam's record now. No. I will not let you desecrate NBA history that way. I cannot do it. But that's a whole different conversation. Just strictly on Bam. It got to a point where watching that game, and I was catching bits and pieces of it. It got to the point where I don't like the 83-point game, not because of him. Because all he did was go out and play the game. That is what we players are told to do. Suit up, do what you do in the 4 lines. My thing is, I don't like how Miami was going about it. They were trying to foul, cause timeouts, do all this stuff to have him get over 81 points. And for all intents and purposes, he got it. He got it with 36 points from the free throw line, 21 points from 3, and the rest was his bucket that he got on his own. Look, 83 points is impressive, no matter which way you cut it, slice it, dice it, whatever you want to do with it. 83 points is impressive. I'm just not that big on it because, again, the stuff surrounding it that has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with him. He did what all of us were told to do: go play the game. And sure enough, he did it. And then it just shows me the Wizards are just garbage, just absolute garbage.
All right, Robert, any thoughts about Bam scoring 83 points in an NBA game?
So, I mean, I agree with what Danny said. There were people in the media saying that he should have stopped when he got to 81 out of respect for Kobe. All I can say to that is this. Had it been the other way around, if Kobe were going after Bam's record of scoring 81 points, and I understand the whole Kobe thing because of his death, how he passed tragically, I understand all that. Kobe would have kept scoring because we know that's, as a player, that's how he was, that's how he rolled. He would have continued to shoot, he would have continued to score, he would have done everything he could to pass Wilt that night if he were able. And I think that anybody who, well, he should have respected Kobe. Kobe's 81 was not the record. Wilt's 100 was the record. So I'm just like, hey, you can say whatever you want about how he scored it. He scored 83 points in an NBA game. There are guys currently in the NBA who wouldn't score 83 points if you locked them in the gym overnight. And, I get the whole thing with the Wizards not being good. It did not look like they played especially hard. He still scored 83 points. That's a lot of points.
All right.
Now,
Go ahead, Danny.
Before you go, Coach, I have not seen the Discord anything along the lines where they're saying if he should have stopped to respect Kobe.
Oh, I've heard that as well.
There was a guy. It was a column. I believe it was in the Athletic.
I heard that as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So it was not like somebody's subreddit. I mean, it was like a national column list in the Athletic.
I think, and you said it best. I think if that person is disrespecting Kobe, because like you said, had that been Kobe, Kobe would have been like, "Give me the ball. I'm going for 100." So cut all that nonsense out. Having him stop to respect Kobe's 81. That is disrespectful to Kobe in its own right for the competitor that he was. So any columnist, especially a national columnist at that, got the nerve to put that out there for the world to see. He should not be talking about this game at all. None.
Yeah.
At all.
So here was the problem people had before I tell you my level of non-care on this. He shot 43 free throws. Were they fouls? Eric Spoelstra should have subbed him out. That's not my call. As we say in wrestling, I didn't have the pencil. Eric Spoelstra had the pencil and said, this is the play we're going to call. You don't like people scoring? As Steve Spurrier once said so eloquently, stop me. So, yeah, save me the drama. Save me. I'm not writing a column. I'm not caring. The NBA is the NBA. And if you let somebody score 30 in the first quarter, and at the halftime, I think he had, 50 or 60, and somebody who coached a scorer, Bollerin had 46 like once. And he said, can I go for 50? And I said, next time you get close, sure. Never thinking like 2 weeks later, he'd be close, and I'm a man, my word. So again, go Bam, be happy, and good luck in the postseason. So with that, on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, the level of care, and actually, y'all done messed me up. Danny, like the Monday mandate's coming. So we're taping. I'm still mad that people have this elective outrage. So with the WNBA, we now actually have a deadline date. We tape Sunday. By the time this comes out Wednesday, something's going to happen. They have to happen this time. So, Danny, you have looked at this the entire time. What do you think is going to happen before we give it to our administrator who's going to tell us what's going to happen?
There still won't be a deal. There's no getting around it. There's still miles apart when it comes to salary and housing. And I will say this. It is a good thing that they are in the room with each other. Nothing is getting passed along via email or Zoom meeting, none of that. They are in the room with each other having these discussions. I'm following Alexa Philippou on X right now to get any updates, as far as see what's going on. I'm trying to catch all the live updates as we go on. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be talking about this more and more as the day goes on. If you follow me on X, Coach City 42, it will be something to pay attention to because again, they're still miles apart. Now, I would not be surprised if a deal was struck literally going into the wee hours of Monday night going into Tuesday. I would not be surprised. Do I think a deal is going to happen? No. Because it's something I've been talking about. I've been saying this for a long time. They are stuck on gross versus net. And whatever the blue hell, as The Rock would say, the expenses are for the league to get to this revenue share. Until they can iron those details out, this deal is not happening. But like I said, I would not be surprised if a deal is struck going into the 10th second before we hit Tuesday.
Robert, this is a business. We have things that we have to do. We've heard you, but now we have to go to work. What do you think is going to happen as this is going to come out on Wednesday? Will we have a deal, sir?
On Wednesday, no. I still do not remain convinced that this is the deadline, that this is the drop dead date to make it happen. I think that it could go to March 23rd. I could even see it going to March 31st. I think that is the actual drop dead, gotta have it deadline. They'll be scrambling, but to me, we're not at that deadline yet. I just don't. I don't think we're there. I think we've got another week at least, and it wouldn't shock me if the actual deadline is really more like April 1st.
I'm gonna be contrarian. And I use that phrase to Robert, and Robert's probably heard that in his career, that I've heard you. We've discussed, but now I'm going to need you to sign this so we can move on. And I think the players are going to sign whatever they're going to get. And by the time this airs, we're going to have a deal that's going to be short-term, or as we like to say sometimes in education, we're going to put a pin in it. We're going to do this deal and work on a more longer-term deal, blah, blah, blah. That's what I think. I could be wrong because, again, we're just some guys on a podcast.
Just guys on a podcast, man.
We heard you. But now, go ahead, take this little bit of raise and move on. So anyway, On behalf of our Cavalcade stars, still mad that people are mad at Bam. How you gonna get mad at a dude that scored 83? It's the greatest moment of his life, and y'all hating like Taylor Swift. Man, leave that man alone. Let him go live his life with his girl and keep it moving, man. I'm sorry. So anyway, on behalf of our Cavalcade stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.cksaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.